Hola clase y bienvenidos otra vez. Hoy vamos a continuar la discusión de unidad 4. El tema de hoy es el pretérito y otra vez vamos a hablar sobre unos verbos irregulares en el pretérito. So today we're going to continue the conversation about irregular verbs in the preterite tense. In Unit 3, which occurred in Semester 1, we talked about verbs that were irregular in the preterite. You received a green reference sheet for those irregular verbs, and we highlighted a few then. Today we're going to add to that list and continue to do so throughout the rest of the semester. Okay, look at your note guide. On your note guide, under Section 1, you see a chart for irregular stem verbs. Okay, the irregular stem verbs you see here on this chart are the same ones we have on the screen here. These are the 6 verbs that we learned in Semester 1 that had an irregular stem when conjugating them in the preterite. So what does that mean? Let's recap. Look at the verb hacer. When we say it has an irregular stem, we mean that when we go to conjugate it, you don't follow normal steps. So you don't just drop the ER and add ER endings. Iste, io, imos, ieron. You instead drop the ER and change the stem, okay, which is HAC. That stem will change to HIC because it is irregular, okay? From there, you take that irregular stem and use these endings to conjugate hacer in the preterite tense. So the conjugation of hacer would be hice, hiciste, hizo, hicimos, hicistes, hicieron. Okay, so hopefully you remember how to conjugate these irregular stem verbs and that these irregular stems look familiar. Today we're going to add to that list. We're adding 4 more verbs that have irregular stems as well. Look at your note guide, verbs 7 through 10. We're going to complete this chart by filling in the meaning of each of those verbs and its irregular stem. Okay. All right, first verb I want to talk about is venir. Venir means to come. Its irregular stem is VIN. Verb number 2, querer. Querer means to want. Its irregular stem is quis, Q-U-I-S. Also, please pause here and make a side note under meaning. Querer, just like saber, changes meaning in the preterite tense. When you use querer in the preterite, it no longer means to want, it means to try to. So if you were to say, yo quise hablar, you would be saying, I tried to talk. Okay, the next verb, decir. It means to say or to tell. Its irregular stem is D-I-J. Lastly, traer means to bring. Its irregular stem, traj. Okay, T-R-A-J. So just like we did with verbs 1 through 6 in your chart, all we do to conjugate these is take the irregular stem and place it right before all of these endings. Okay, let's flip over our note guide to section 3 and let's try to conjugate each of these 4 verbs all the way out in the preterite tense. The first verb, let's talk about venir. Venir means to come. When conjugating it, go ahead and write vin, V-I-N, in every box. Then you want to add your endings. Those endings can be found on the front side of your note guide. Remember, there's no accents, and those endings are e, iste, o, imos, hicieron. Okay, so the entire conjugation of venir should look like this. Vine, viniste, vino, vinimos, vinieron. All right, verb number 2. Look at querer. Querer stem is quis, so go ahead and write quis in every box. And then let's conjugate it out from there. You should have quise, quisiste, quiso, quisimos, quisieron. Okay, third verb, decir, to say or to tell. Its irregular stem is dich, so write dij in every box. And now let's add our endings. We have dije, dijiste, dijo, dijimos. Ooh, careful, careful, dijeron. Okay, I probably got you here unless you looked closely at your green irregular preterite guide. Decir is slightly irregular on top of already being irregular. You'll notice that I underlined the they form here. Instead of being dijeron, they drop that second I, and it's just dijeron. Same thing is going to happen on your next verb, traer, so be careful. It will also drop its I before ieron. Okay, traer's conjugation. Remember to write your irregular stem down first, tra, and then add your endings. Traje, trajiste, trajo, trajimos, trajeron. Again, look at that they form. There's no I. Okay, so let's recap for a second. All 10 verbs that we've seen here on our note guide are irregular stem verbs. They all share that same set of endings, e, iste, o, imos, ieron. There's no accents. The best way to remember these 10 verbs is to sing our song. Okay, we sang the song a couple times per semester. We'll continue to do so the next few class periods. But remember, it's to the tune of La Cucaracha. It goes, tener estuve, estar estuve, ir fui también ser. Okay, those of you that didn't sing that first semester, you will love it. Okay, last section. On your note guide, go to section 4, the practice. Here we have 6 sentences. Please conjugate all of the verbs here in the preterite tense, and remember that all 6 of them are irregular stem verbs. So for example, in number 1, she did not come to school. Conjugate venir in the preterite, remembering that its stem is not ven, its stem is vin. Also notice on 5 and 6, these are old verbs. We had these first semester. Okay, go ahead and pause me, work through these, and then we will go over your answers. Okay, aquí, las respuestas. Repasemos. 1. Ella no vino a la escuela. She did not come to school. 2. Tú quisiste leer el libro. You tried to read the book. 3. Nosotros trajimos los calendarios. We brought the calendars. 4. Yo no dije nada. I didn't say anything. 5. Mis amigos no hicieron la tarea. My friends didn't do the homework. Y 6. Ellos tuvieron que trabajar anoche. They had to work last night. Okay, last section on your note guide. Section 5, if you have any questions, please write them down. We'll talk about them in class. And as we work through the next couple of weeks, be prepared. We're going to continue to study and memorize these irregular preterite verbs, but we're also going to keep working on preterite versus imperfect. Okay, and maybe even throwing some of the irregular preterites in with that. Okay, es todo para hoy. Yo espero que ustedes tengan un buen día. Hasta mañana.